Yes, sir, baby. On the radar radio. Yo, joining me today. Ekoh is here with me. Detour 3 out now. What's up, my
What up?
brother? How
What
you
up?
feeling today?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh man, it's released. Well, the day that we're filming this, it's the project is out.
Yes,
Congratulations. You got a bunch of boxes of merch for a bunch
I
of
know.
fans.
I know. I felt bad when I was like, whatever, man. This is real life. This is how the shit actually is. It's not all glamorous all the time. Sometimes it's super hectic and you're in over your head and you're a little overwhelmed and, shit looks like this. But that's the way it is.
But that that's what comes with doing everything, being a man of wearing many hats.
Absolutely. And you know, that's just the way the indie game works sometimes. You got to figure out how to do it yourself, and that's kind of the beauty of it. And there's growing pains, but we do pretty well, I think.
And you've been doing like the indie game for a while now. Like, so how has that kind of been? Obviously you got all these boxes behind you, so people can kind of get an idea of what it's like. But like for the people who don't know what it's like, how would you kind of like, I don't know, describe it, or kind of like, give people more of an insight into what you have to do yourself?
If you're doing it independently, if you're doing music independently, and you're really trying to make some waves and make moves, it's you own a small business,
Mm.
and you should treat it as so. And there's different facets to it. Like I posted this thing the other day. Is I got into music wanting to rap, to write songs. I ended up having to learn Photoshop, Premiere, shipping, things that have to do with fulfilling shipments, how to make merch, garments to press on, embroidery, directing, acting, uh, tour routing, selling shit on to all this kind of different stuff. Is like you have to eventually learn every facet. And I don't think you need to be an expert at anything, but you need to know all these different aspects so you can either delegate or figure it out yourself, or in order to save money, because also in this game you can't always spend money on,
Mhm.
I need someone to edit this video. Well, the edit's not really that difficult. I could figure it out. Give me like a few hours on YouTube and I'll figure out how to edit it. It's really only a one take video and I just want to add some colors. So boom, figure it out myself. Or whatever these different kinds of things are, you have to become kind of a jack of all trades. And this is, one of the trades, and was my least favorite for a while was the merch stuff, but it's become one of my favorites.
Why has it become one of your favorites?
Because it was a challenge, man. I remember like 2 years ago, I was like, dude, merch is not my fucking job. I don't do that. I don't know how to design shirts. I don't know how to design. And then, that's usually the argument I have right before I learn how to do something. I'm you know, frustrated, but then I just learn, how to do it and who to talk to, and you figure it out. And then it becomes like, yo, this is a new skill I have. This is kind of cool.
Right. Right. I feel that. That was me when I first started doing this show. I was like, what do you mean I have to learn how to Photoshop my own thumbnails and edit my own videos? Like, that's not like, why should I be doing that? But then once I learned to do it, I was like, now I'm at a point where I don't want people to edit things for me unless it's like something that is like a trailer of some interviews. You know what I'm saying? Like things that require someone with more skill to do. But like, as for just like the interviews, I don't really like people touching my stuff. People be like, do you want me to edit this for you? I'm like, do not touch my interviews.
Well, no, you develop your own voice too, right? And
Yeah.
that's what your listeners or your fans go to you to hear your voice. And so when you're the one editing it, then it's exactly how you want it to sound and what you want it to be. And when you're doing the thumbnails, it's exactly how you want it to look. And so the fans become accustomed to you.
Yeah.
And so if somebody else does it, then it's not, somebody else might not do it the exact way. And there's a certain pride that comes with, yo, this is strictly me. This is 100% my voice. And there's something that's kind of special about that too.
Facts. Facts. I agree 1,000%. Well, I love having these type of conversations because I forgot who I was talking to the other day. Oh, my guy Akinyemi, he's from out here. He just dropped an album and he was telling me, he's he's pretty young in the game, but he's like, yo, he's like, being independent out here, I'm finding I'm doing the promotion, I'm doing the Google ads, I'm doing the merch shipments, I'm designing the merch, all this and that. So, but it's like interesting to have these types of conversations too, because you really kind of, every artist is different in the process, independent wise, but it is interesting getting to touch different artists and kind of seeing, how you're handling and how your outlook on doing these things versus his outlook on doing these things. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got their own way of doing it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of because I have a lot of friends that are obviously that do the same thing, and there's so many different. Every time one of us complains to another about some aspect, like, yo, I'm so sick of doing these fucking having to make content every day and having to post and blah blah. It's just like, yo, it's your job. Do you want it or do you want a different job? Figure it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the kind of tough. It's not even tough love, but that's the kind of reality check that I need. Of like, you got to understand that as an artist and doing this independently, my job today is different than it was 4 years ago. It's different than it was 2 years ago. The job changes with the market. And so whatever things start shifting, I have to shift with it and realize, that's accept that this is just the way my job is. And I can either go with it and figure it out and try and thrive, or I could fight against it. And it's just going to be miserable.
Right. No, 1,000%. Well, we're here now with the new project, the Detour 3 out now. 3 in the name, of course. With the other two projects came out in 2018 and 2020. But you've been like still steadily releasing music even up to this point. Obviously, a bunch of records that made the project. But the pandemic didn't seem to really slow you down in terms of like releasing music at all, right?
Nah, man, I kind of lit a fire underneath me more than anything because I was scared. It was, what if live music's not going to be here anymore? Then what am I going to do? And with everybody else at home and all my, peers are also your competition. You know what I'm saying? Not in a friendly way, but I have friends that are out here now. There would be a cycle like, well, at least they're on tour, so they're not making shit right now, so I can kind of kick back, like, things come in waves, so I can chill. And if I'm not putting something out, but everybody was at home putting out fire because they had nothing but time.
Yeah. And
so I'm like, I can't just be sitting around. I need to be working. I need to figure out how I'm going to make this work for me. And I went in harder than I ever had, and just started learning different ways and started learning things like TikTok and how can I try and thrive on these different apps and what other different things can I do and try and have fun with the music and promotion wise and all that kind of shit. All kind of stems from fear, but it ended up working out for me and being a cool thing.
But you've been killing TikTok, by the way. I have to commend you on that. Like I was perusing the other day through your TikTok, and there were some things in there that I really like that I'm going to talk about eventually. But I do have to commend you because TikTok was also something I had to get good with during the pandemic too. And I think we're almost at like 100,000 likes on my TikTok. We've gotten like hundreds of thousands of views. Like, but TikTok definitely was like one of the bigger learning curves, I feel like, for everybody in the pandemic in our industry.
It was, I think, mostly for people who had been in the game before TikTok, it was a bigger learning curve because a lot of people, there's a lot of ego, right? Like, I don't want to start over on this fucking app at zero. I know a lot of people that still feel like that. And there was also just a preconceived notion of what TikTok was, and you know what I'm saying? And then having to figure out this is a whole new app with a new audience that reacts to things differently. So what is my voice here as opposed to what my voice was on Instagram and my voice on Facebook that I'd already figured out. You kind of have to figure out your voice on each app to cater to that certain audience. And the TikTok one was a weird one. It's still weird for me. And I was talking to a manager about this the other day. It was like, I can post all kinds of different content, but TikTok only gives a shit when I rap. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? I'll post some videos that I'm like, dude, this shit is super funny. And it does okay. Or like one thing will get like, 20,000, 30,000. But then I just post me rapping in front of my mic and then it's like 100,000, 60,000, 500,000, whatever. It's like, all right, fine. I'll do this.
Fine.
You know what I mean?
No, I definitely feel that because I was even it was like some of the Mandalorian one is one I saw, and then obviously you had like the DC and Marvel ones. But like I get that because like I feel like at some point TikTok realizes who you are and what type of account you are, and then like the second you try to do something that's not in line with what they already had you like grouped in, they're like, wait a second. No. Stick to the formula. What are you doing?
Yep.
You're going outside of the formula. So I think that that's kind of funny that you mentioned that because I'd be thinking that too. I'd be like, damn, if I was to post something other than interview clips on the show's TikTok, I feel like they would screw me. They'd be like, fuck you. What are you doing?
Oh, they do. And for some reason, I still try, and I don't know why. Every time they're just like, psh, just go back and do that one fucking thing that people liked. So, but it could be worse. Like, it'd be way worse if it was the opposite, right?
Right.
Like, if it was the opposite and TikTok only gave a shit when I did things other than music, I'd be like, nah, this is what I do. This is bad if I can't post any of this. So it's not a bad thing.
No, that's a fact. But with the project out, why now for the third installment? I mean, it's what you've been doing for a few years now, but why now for the third installment of the project? Because between the first and the second one, there was that 2 year gap, and then obviously between the second and third one, there was a 1 year gap because of COVID and whatnot, I'm sure. But what was the reason for kind of wanting to put the third installment out now?
That's a good question. I guess it really came down to I have so much music and I've made so much. And we were doing releasing singles every 2 weeks. And it just started getting to so many that I'm like, we have to figure out, we have to put this all in a cohesive thing. Cause it was all heading towards the next album. Cause we did all the artwork has the same, uniform looking backgrounds and all the kinds of things like that. The same thing we did the Detour too. So I knew it was heading towards the album eventually, but we had so many out that it was like, it's just time to consolidate this, put this on a record. And I have so many other songs that I had made. I have the whole next record almost finished, and it's a lot of it sounds so much different that I was like, we need to get these songs out because they need to have a life. And I think they deserve, the fans are going to like them. So I want them to be out in the world, but I can't just sit on them any longer. So they need to just come out. And so we put it out and added, so it was all the previous singles with 7 brand new songs, I think 7 or 8, something like that. I wanted to give people like at least an EP's worth of brand new music with the album.
No, that's dope. And I like how uniform the single covers were. Like I kind of like how you're like, all right, well, this is all part of one thing. That thing isn't out yet, but then when it is out, you'll have that there too. But people can know that like this is all part of one. These are all pieces to one bigger puzzle.
Yeah, it's kind of like I know a lot of people complain about the singles, the way the singles market is right now. Is that a lot of people aren't putting out albums, and a lot of people like a uniform album that's put out with a story and things like that. So that's kind of my way to combat it, because I felt the same way, because I grew up with full albums, and I enjoy when people put out a full project with a voice and a color and a sound and all that kind of stuff. So my way to combat that was just, if I put them out uniformly, at least it feels like it sort of has more of a uniformity to it and more of a story that people can like sort of follow if you're big on it. But then if not, then when the album drops, then you have all that.
Right. And all your albums have had like this theme of like travel to them, right? Because obviously along the way came before that. What is like this theme of travel or the detours or along the way, the road? Like what is this theme and why is that so important? Like I guess for you to kind of stick to and kind of keep up with the names of these projects and even the themes with the cover arts.
So the first thing that started, I think, was like I had an EP called Zizek's Road.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, where are you located? Are you in New York or LA?
I'm in New York.
Okay. So on the west, I live in Vegas. Between Vegas and Los Angeles, it's like a 4-hour drive, and like pretty much smack dab in the middle is Zizek's Road. And so I recorded this EP in LA in this broken ass car that broke down every time I went to LA. But I would pass Zizek's Road every single time. And so when that EP was done, I was like, let's just that's the name, because I would recognize it every single time. So Zizek's Road, boom, there it is. And then once the next album was done, it was more of a collection of songs that I made. It wasn't to me a full album. It was a collection of songs that I made for this project or that project, but it wasn't cohesive. And so I'm like, this feels like it's I'm on my way to something, but I'm not I'm not there yet.
Right.
And it's not something I would even consider like my debut album. So, you know, it's still part of the journey for me was that. And so along the way it came. And when I did the first Detour album, I felt like a lot of the sounds I was doing, a lot of the songs were departing a little bit from what I was doing before. Before it was like a lot more emotional type music, a lot more heartfelt stuff, a lot more in that vein. And when I switched it a little bit with the Detour stuff, did some more harder stuff, some more trap, you know, sounding beats and just some different type of shit. I didn't want to have any type of parameters or people to be like, yo, what is this? So the idea of calling it was a detour was just a scapegoat for myself of being like, well, this is the detour from my normal sound. And I'm gonna just play around with some different things and change some stuff up. So I'm just taking this a little detour for a little while from my path that I thought I was on. And I'm gonna try out some different stuff. And it did so well, and I enjoyed what I did so much, and I started forming my new sound so much. I was like, I'm gonna stay on this detour for a little while and see what comes from it. And so then the Detour 2 came, of doing sort of the same thing, of just staying out here trying these different sounds and developing myself still. I still felt like I was, you know, still baking, you know what I mean? And then with the Detour 3, I know my album after this, and I know what it is, and it feels like it's where I always wanted to end up. And so it felt like this album was really the end of that chapter. But my whole life has felt like a journey of some sort. This music thing has been a complete journey, and I've never really felt like I've been on a designated path. I've been kind of wandering, just trying to throw shit against the wall, see what happens, and figure it out as I go. So the whole thing has felt like a huge detour from any sort of path that I thought I would be on in my life. And so ending it has been kind of a cool thing, and knowing where I'm going after is even better.
I love that. That's a great explanation. I fuck with that. So this is the last project in the Detour series.
For now.
There might be another Detour down the line.
Yeah, I might come with like a Carter 4 or some shit later on, or, you know, Carter 5 type shit.
But for all intents and purposes, like the next album, the next project is like is where you want it to, is where you want to be, like where you want it to be, and like aside from the Detour.
Yeah, the next project. Yeah, exactly.
That's exciting. Are you excited to finally, I guess, feel like you've arrived at that destination, that where you wanted to be with the next album that you really wanted to make?
Yeah, I think it has a lot of things that I've developed as an artist throughout these last 3 albums. I feel like I've developed as an artist, as a songwriter, as a recording artist, just even recording, doing different things with my voice, playing around with melodies, learning how to do different types of songs, and not be afraid to do different things and try whatever it is, an acoustic song, or try singing on a song, or try putting auto-tune and being modern, or doing different shit. I've just developed all these different skills through these last 3 albums that have formed what is next, you know.
I got that. That's awesome. So this is like a full circle moment for you.
Yeah, it feels like it's closing of a chapter for sure.
So what is the next chapter for you? What do you feel like it entails? Like, what do you feel like now that you're able to close, you know, once you got all the merch out, you go on this tour and you could close that book. What do you feel like the next era of your career is going to be like?
I don't think it's going to look much different. I mean, I hope it looks different, at least size wise, than now, but I'm not changing up the formula much. The formula has worked really well, and I like the way we've been doing it. I mean, if the market calls for it, then we will, but as of right now, I will probably do the same sort of thing with the, you know, releasing of the singles. And the only difference is, you know, the types of artists I have featured coming up are probably artists that people wouldn't expect me to work with. And just some different sounds that we're playing with, and just it'll look sort of the same to the outside, but the music is going to be different. The way we operate and the way we move is going to be more intentional. Instead of throwing things against the wall and kind of chasing my tail like I tend to do, or just, you know, I just kind of chase cars and don't really know what to do once I get there. But I'm going to try and make moves more intentional and more, maybe less
Mm,
frequent, but more intentional.
I like that. Moving with intent.
Yeah.
That I like that. And you know, somebody who on your project who I've been in tune with for so long is Futuristic. I want to ask what I know y'all have worked together like for a minute, but what's that relationship? Like how did y'all first kind of link up?
That's that's a really, like, that's a full circle story for me as well, because I have a free verse series, which is kind of how
Yep.
I first started to pop off and bubble, was doing these free verses. And the
Mm.
first free verse I did was for a futuristic rap contest, which was years ago. And that was kind of like the first thing that I started playing around with being myself on, because I've been doing so many songs of I think every artist when they start is kind of like a bad impression of the people they're into.
Yeah.
And I know I definitely was. I don't know if I was, you know, that heavy, but you know, I can tell when I started off, I was definitely, you can hear my influences and everything I was doing. I hadn't really found myself yet.
Mm.
When I started doing those free verses, that's when I feel like I really found my sound and what I really wanted to talk about, and felt like I could just be myself. And I didn't have to try to be cool or doing, I could just talk about the shit that I'm into and talk about my friends and then rap about that on a song and people relate to it. So the first free verse I did was for his contest. I didn't win. I don't even know if, I think I got like top 12 or some shit, but I didn't win. But the song blew up and it popped off, and I got, you know, it kicked off my streaming, in the first song that really kicked off my streaming went like viral on Facebook. So that was dope. And I did another one. The second contest I did for him was like some different shit. And I got like second place. He hits me up and congratulates me. I think I won like $100 or some random shit.
calm,
And
calm $100, a calm $100.
yeah, and we just, you know, started the dialogue or whatever. I had his number, and I had a song on the Detour 2 that I was working on that I sent to him for a feature. He fucked with it, did the feature, crushed it, and you know, I had, since that first free verse, I just continued working and grinding, and I didn't win either of the contests. I lost both of them.
Right.
Which is awesome to me. I think it's great. And any artist, I'm like, dude, it's not the win, it's what you do with what you have. You know what I'm saying? I didn't need to win. I fucking used all those songs and I built all this off of losses, technically. You know what I'm saying? So that happened Futuristic. I just kept grinding, kept doing my thing, kept my head down, kept working. We did the feature, we did a video together. It was dope. We kind of clicked. He asked me to go on tour with him. I went on tour with him. It was right before pandemic, 2019?
2019 or yeah, 2019.
Yeah, I went on tour with him for like half of his tour in 2019. We just stayed clicked up. He sent me a couple songs to feature on, and I sent him another one to feature on. So we've just been kind of like working in the same space now for a little while, and he's just a guy that is incredibly motivating, and the way he moves is just, that dude is more than music. He knows how to operate a business, and he operates independently like very few people in this game do, and really built an empire and has, you know, wealth. You know what I mean? And has wealth without ever having a huge radio hit or any shit like that. Just kind of grinding it out and building it in the independent scene and on the underground tip. And that to me is incredible. And so I've always just had respect to be able to operate in the same circle as him, and shit like that has been great.
No, that's a great story. I love how you're getting to share all these full circle moments. I feel like you're having a lot of those.
I do. It's kind of crazy. There's been a few of them.
And when I was listening to your music, something that popped up that I was like, oh, this is interesting. Was BossLogic was a feature on? Is that the BossLogic, like the artist?
Yeah, BossLogic's the homie.
That's crazy. How did that happen?
Okay, so BossLogic had started following me. This is when I put out the second contest song that I did for Futuristic.
Okay.
I did this song called Infinity Bars, and it was just a one take, one shot video, and had some like crazy pop culture references that I like to do. And he's obviously the king of pop culture,
Of
in my
course.
opinion. He started following me and liked my music, and we were messaging back and forth. And then when I dropped a song for Avengers Endgame where we flipped the Marvel theme
Mm-hmm.
and made like this crazy beat out of the Marvel theme, and did this whole thing for when Avengers dropped. He ended up sharing it on his page, which fucking blew up. It went crazy. That it went viral off of him sharing it, which is crazy because there's certain people like that have such a big platform that don't have to do any, like, they don't have to share your shit. He just did it. He didn't even ask me. He just did it, you know?
Right.
So that was cool. So we just maintained, a relationship, and we would talk on Instagram every once in a while, and he would send me things that he was writing, because I know he did a lot of stuff, with art, obviously, and he's incredible with the graphics, but he would send me, like these poems he was writing or these little shorts that he had written, and they were all awesome. And I was like, man, you need to let people know that you write, because this is really good shit. I think it's awesome. It's like a different muscle to flex, and you could do something really cool with this. And we had talked about like collaborating on a song. So I wanted to do something like that. And we had gone back and forth with a couple different things, couldn't really figure it out. And he'd hit me up, wanted to do something with like some Joker thing that we were talking about. And then I'd found this beat, and I'd started writing just people have been asking, since I did the Marvel thing, people have been asking me to do a DC thing forever. And so one day I just stumbled upon this beat, and I was like, this feels right. So I wrote the first verse, and I sent it to him. I was like, yo, write a second verse. You know what I mean? I was like, flex that muscle, dude. I know you got it. Like, let's do a verse. And he was all about it. So he wrote the second verse, sent it to me. I took it and kind of just plugged it in, and made it kind of fit the beat a little better. And so that collaboration was really, it's a co-write between both of us on that song.
That's so crazy. Yeah, because when I saw that, I was like, wait a second. I'm like, is that a BossLogic? I was like, I know there's not like another artist named BossLogic out here. So I had to triple check, because I thought I was seeing things. I thought I was hearing things. I was like, what is going on here? But that's dope. You gotta like it's kind of some your stories are great. I gotta tell you something. You got some good ass stories.
Thanks, man. It's like stuff like that I think is cool. I like to operate kind of outside of the normal, hip hop thing. I just like doing shit that I think is fun and unique and different. I like doing stuff with different people. And so being able to do something with BossLogic to me is just like, I love what that dude does so much, period, that to be able to blend our two worlds together. And then he did the artwork for the single, which is like super dope. And just to be able to be in a in a place where I'm able to do that and able to talk with the people that I actually enjoy, that's just super dope to me, period. So I'm going to take that opportunity 10 times out of 10 if I can.
And you've been doing like these like the Mandalorian freestyles, the Marvel freestyles, the DC villain stuff, and that's all on TikTok too. If y'all want to go check that out. What was like the inspiration to start doing some of like those? Was it kind of like because of the Avengers thing, or what was kind of like the beginning of that?
Well, in those first free verses is where I kind of started just rapping about the things that I'm into. Like, I'm a big Kevin Smith fan.
Okay.
And one thing that always stuck to me about Kevin Smith is him writing his movies. And he said that when he started writing his movies, he did that because he didn't hear himself in the movies that he watched. Like, I don't hear the shit me and my friends talk about in the movies I watch. And I've always been a massive fan of hip hop, the art form of it, the technicality of it, the beats, lyricism, incredible. But there was still always something to me. It's like, there's something for me personally, is like, I don't hear necessarily the things that like me and my homies talk about, which is like movies and random shit like that. Things that we're into, skating, just in my life in general, recovery, skating, movies, pop culture, things like that. So I was like, I want it and I'm not getting it, so I'll just make it, And once I started doing that, the reaction from it was so positive. And it was other people that felt the same way, like, yo. And I'd heard like nerd rap before, right? But there was a thing about, and I'm not hating on anybody at all, but there's something about some nerd rap that I'm like, could you make it a little cooler? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to knock this shit like with my windows down and people be like, that shit is hard. And then be like, oh, he's talking about fucking Star Wars? you know what I mean? Like not even notice because the shit is just so banging.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to try and do that. Like, can I incorporate modern music elements and make some shit that's just fire and then throw my own spin on it? And so I started doing that with a lot of the free verses I was doing, and people were really just kind of connecting to it. And when it came to the Avengers thing, that was something where initially I thought it would be cool to break down the entire. It was right before Endgame came out, so I wanted to break down the entire Marvel universe in a 3-minute song, just so people could go. I'm like, hey, you don't need to rewatch all fucking 20 movies or whatever. You can just listen to this one 3-minute song. I break down everything for you.
That would have gone that's like that's a good, incredible idea. Sorry.
I started writing it and it was cool, but I was like, I feel like a commercial. Like it didn't feel unique. It just felt like I was just like, this happened and this happened. I was like, this is just not, it's not really that dope. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do me on this beat. I'm just gonna fucking go off and do some cool shit. And also, if I do that, then the song will have a longer life. Because if I do this certain thing, it's gonna have a life up until this movie comes out, and then it's just gonna be kind of whatever. But if I just kind of go off on it and do some cool shit and just do me on it, then I think it'll do better. And so that's what I ended up doing with that. And it did so well. It was like, that's cool. And people were kind of looking to me for something else. And I only do these things if it really works. You know what I mean? I was like, the Mandalorian theme was just hard. And I was like, can we flip this? And so it always starts with flipping the beat. And so I'm like, if we could flip this beat, that shit would be dope. And we flip it and I'm like, dude, this beat is fucking hard. And that on its own to me is dope. Like if you can take some like nerdy pop culture shit and flip it so it's just like, it just bangs, that is super dope. And so it's like, well, you know, I can't rap about something else. I got to rap about Star Wars and I'm into this anyways. So that ends up how that comes, you know what I'm saying? I think we just started doing, I don't know if you watch like Loki, but I'm into all this stuff anyways. So it totally works. Yeah. But if I'm not, like people are like, yo, do an anime song. I'm like, I don't watch anime. So this, if I did that, it would be me doing some fake shit to try and get a bag. And that's not really the way I roll. Like if I'm not into it, I'm not gonna talk about it. So we just started like flipping the Loki theme lately, and that shit's crazy. But yeah, so all the nerd things kind of just come from like, if I'm into something, I'll try it. And if it works, I'll roll with it. If it doesn't, then I'm not gonna do it.
And the Loki theme is banging first and foremost.
Yeah. And like, dude, the thing we did some wild stuff with that beat. It's nuts. We changed like tempos and halfway through it, it's crazy. I haven't written any lyrics to it, but we just finished making the beat.
You just been playing around with it, just kind of like, I mean, I already know regardless, whatever happens is gonna be good. Cause like that, every time that beat would come on in the show, I'd be like, yeah, this is fire. Like they definitely knew what they was doing with this beat.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's difficult because the beat, it's in 3/4, and I don't know if you'd ever like try to rap to anything in 3/4, but that shit, I think Kanye did it in a song years ago, but it's like really hard. So you got to kind of like flip it into 4/4, and so you got to change a few things about it, but it's still, yeah, that shit is huge dope.
Well, that's very exciting. I'm excited for whatever you decide to do with that, whether it comes out or not. I feel like it's gonna be dope.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna try it, but that's all you can do, right? You can try, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you just move on.
1000%. So okay, so we got the project out now. The next album is on the way. What else do the fans have to look out for from you this year?
I'm going on my first headlining tour.
Right, the tour. I almost forgot to bring up the tour.
Yeah, I almost forget too.
The tour. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Are you excited to be back on the road, back to touring, back to all that?
Big time, dude. I just played a show like 2 weeks ago with Webby in Colorado Springs, and it was both of our first shows back. Played one like small show in Denver at the Roxy. It was a couple hundred people. It was like a private event, just to kind of knock the rust off and get the nerves out. And then the next show was in Colorado Springs, and it was like 1,700 people, and it was probably the best show I've ever played in my life. I don't know if it's just being back or just the energy of it, but I think there's a lot of artists that, you know, just want to make music and put it out and stream it, whatever. Like that's never been my thing. Like I like playing shows. I like being on tour. I like meeting the fans. I like the energy. I like performing. Like that's what I got into this to do. And when the pandemic hit, you know, I had to kind of think like, am I not going to perform anymore? Am I ever going to do it? And if not, do I want to continue doing this job? Because this isn't the job that I, you know, started doing. What I started doing was like, you make music, I'm touring, I get to meet the fans. Because when you're just putting music out into the ether, even though people are commenting online and showing you love and sending you messages, all that's cool, but it's so much different than meeting people in person and getting to, you know how your music is affecting and connecting with people and seeing those people. It's such a different experience and it's such a special thing. So to be able to get back on the road is insane and it's awesome. And to be headlining is just a whole different thing. I've never headlined on a tour ever. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm definitely excited for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for you. I know you're gonna kill it, and I'm sure it's gonna be it's gonna be a great time for you. We back outside, everything back going on. You know what I'm saying? Touch the people, go back, work on the next project, and hopefully we get back in that cycle now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll be releasing music when I'm on the road and making some videos while I'm out there, and all the shit that we got to continue doing just to keep the machine moving, keep the fans fed, keep them satisfied.
What do you think that next project is gonna come by? The one that you're excited about?
When, like time wise?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that I'm not gonna release an album with 21 songs probably ever again.
There's a lot of songs. It's a lot of songs to take in.
It's a lot of songs, and I don't mind it because I understand, because it all comes down to, again, collecting a bunch of songs that have already been released, and I don't feel right re-releasing those and people purchasing songs they've already bought. And so I have to put enough songs so I feel like the value is there. So I have to add the extra songs for people, because I could have just put them all out and it would have been, a 13-song album. And it's like, cool, it's a 13-song album, that makes sense. But I don't feel right doing that. So I have to add the extra songs so people feel like they're getting something new, which they are. So, but next time, for the next album, it'll be more traditional type stuff.
Well, this is all very exciting. So we got the tour, we got the upcoming album, we got the Detour 3 out now. Anything else that they need to be on the lookout for before we sign off here for the day?
I don't know. I'm always doing something. I always got something cooking or brewing or posting or something like that. So just keep up.
Follow them on TikTok. A lot of content on TikTok.
A lot of content on TikTok.
Where can they follow you at? Throw all your ads in there so the people can go and check you out properly.
All the ads are the same. It's all at Ekoh Music. It's EKOH Music. Anywhere. Find me.
Well, look, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day today to come chop it up with me. Congratulations on the project. Make sure y'all go get the Detour 3 out now. And until next time, Ekoh on the radar, baby.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.